Hello, I'm Mr. Dring from Fulford School, and this video is for computing teachers who want to set up groups to track students' progress as they work through some free Python online interactive learning resources. So live.withcode.uk was set up right at the beginning of the first lockdown in 2020 for students to be able to get some support with programming. Each week they have a live coding video, aims to explain Python code rather than just giving them a finished Python program. It invites them into the design process, the debugging process, the development process. They get a type race using the code from the video. So the aim is that rather than worrying about where to put your fingers, we practice accuracy and speed so that students' brains can be freed up to the more creative process of problem solving. We then have the same code that students can just run on their own computers, along with some challenges down at the bottom to encourage curiosity and creativity and experimentation. We have some keyword comprehension and debugging challenges, some K-Pride activities. Again, the same code from the video. It detects which Python concepts are in the code, and students have to identify code comprehension. It's much better to learn to read before you can learn to write. Same with programming. For example, you find a line with a comment, or we find a line that uses concatenation. Oh, where's that happen on here? There we go. We're concatenating, joining two strings together. Click on the line number. Fab. You can work through all of these, but I recommend the most useful ones for students are keyword comprehension and debugging, as in it will automatically inject some common Python errors, and students can build up that confidence and also that satisfaction of finding and fixing some errors. So that was Control and Enter to run the code and find and fix. And then finally, there's an extension, which could be a self-marking activity or a research activity or a keyword game. So that's live.withcode.uk, free for anyone to access. You don't need a username and password, but that does mean that as a teacher, you can't track their progress. If you want to track their progress, you need to be registered on compete.withcode.uk, which is a free process, but just involves a little bit more extra admin. So how do you do that? Well, hopefully you found on live.withcode.uk the link that says teacher instructions for tracking progress. First step is to create a teacher account. It must be a school email, and then that, otherwise I'll assume it's a student trying to set up an account for themselves and I won't verify it. You then register your school. Please put in a link to a URL rather than, a link to an image URL rather than a link to your website. It just makes it a little bit faster for me to set up your school account. And then that's it. I'll get an email, I'll approve it as fast as I can. Please bear in mind I'm a full-time teacher with a young family, so I don't sit full-time waiting to do this kind of admin. I don't make any money for it. I do the best that I can, but please be patient with me. The next stage is creating student groups, and this is the part that I want to go through because I know it's not straightforward. So this link here gets you logged in as a teacher account to manage the school that I've hopefully verified for you. You'll see I've got 3 schools. You'll probably just have the one that you've registered. I'm going to use this test school as an example here. Notice that you can have multiple teacher accounts linked to your school so that you can share access to your teaching groups. I have to confirm you as the first teacher for your school, but once you're verified as a teacher, if another teacher joins, you as an already verified teacher can verify their account. You'll get an email asking you for confirmation to do that. I won't verify any other teachers unless you email me to ask for confirmation. I'll only verify you. So for your groups, we can make a group. I'm going to make a couple here. So 10A CO1, 10B CO1. You can share them with other teachers in your school or keep them as like private test accounts. I keep them as shared. Now, during lockdown, I would have recommended you tick this box, the competition box. This means that any new activities that I put on live.withcode.uk will automatically go to your group pages. However, it's 3 years since this started, and when I add activities now, that's not necessarily going to be the best place for you to start with your groups. So I would recommend not ticking that box. This code is a code that students will need to put in when they join the group that you've made. So you can leave it blank if you like, but I'd recommend just something that you share with your students. There we go. So hopefully we've got those groups that we've created. Each group, you can generate a PDF that you can share with your students. They can scan it on their phones, or a link that they can click on and a reminder of the code that you put in. If you've forgotten what that link is, what that code is, you can edit it. And if it doesn't show on here, that means you left it blank, and students can leave it blank. So at this point, I'm going to show you what it looks like for a student. And I'd recommend that you model this process with your students so that they know how to do it, and you do this in class with them for the first time so they all sign up. You don't have to create accounts for your students. They just join using this link and this code. So I'm going to do this on an incognito tab so that I'm not logged in. And this is what it will look like for students the first time that they go to this page. Now I'm going to sign in with the test account on here, but I would recommend that students, if they have one, use a school Microsoft account or a school Google account, because it's one fewer password to try and remember. I'll just pause whilst I put in test account details on here. There we go. I eventually remembered the test student login details. The first time that they log in, they'll say they're not a member of this group yet. Press OK to join, and this is when they need to put that code in. So remember, when you share that PDF with them, it says it at the bottom, or you can send it out via Google Classroom or ClassCharts or Teams or whatever you use to send stuff to students. So that's it. They've now joined. They won't be asked for that code anymore. You'll know that they're joined because it says you are logged in as, and they'll have their name highlighted down here. They'll be able to see their own name, but other students, they'll only see their initials, and this will be ranked in order of how many points they've got. But there's no activities yet. How do you add an activity? That's the next thing we're going to go through. So we go back to the page for, go away Windows, for managing these groups. If you go to the same link that students go to, you'll have a couple of extra options. So this is what a student sees. This is what a teacher sees. You can add individual activities, but I wouldn't recommend using those buttons. What I would recommend is going to live.withcode.uk, signed in as a teacher, and then choosing where to start. Now, season 1 at the bottom was random lockdown activities. You're welcome to use them. But if you want a much more structured, ordered, logical starting point, start at the beginning of season 2, episode 1. So if we view that episode, you see a button that says add to my group. I'm going to add this to Woodlark Academy, the test school, 10A CO1. I'd recommend keeping all of these ticked. You can deselect them if you don't want certain ones, certain activities added. And then hopefully your students, when they click on this link, oops, sorry, I got it in a different tab for a student, haven't I? I might need to refresh, but it should refresh after 5 seconds or so. They see all of those activities. So as a student, they don't get any points for watching the video, but hopefully the video is helpful. They do get points for their accuracy and speed and how much they complete with the type race. So let's close that down. Hopefully, yeah, there we go. We get some points for the type race. You don't get any points for doing the code, although it's hopefully worthwhile doing. You do get points for the K-Pride, the K part of K-Pride, the keyword comprehension. So if we do some of these, a parameter, there we go. So it's actually an argument, I suppose, isn't it? Sorry about that. The data being passed into a subprogram. We've got some points here. Has that come through? Yeah, there we go. I think students usually get the most points from the extension activities, certainly during season 2. These are kind of debug, try it, extend it activities. So let's see what that means. For try it, you get some code here. Where is it? Aha, with some challenges. Change line 3 to say hello instead of hi. Okay, let's try that. Should get instant feedback on here. They see a little tracker to keep track of their progress through try it, debug it, and extend it. And those scores, yeah, here we go, should come through. So as a student, they'll see how their scores compare with anyone else. As a teacher, you see some extra options here. This is student view, this is teacher view. You can see how many points each student has got on each individual activity here. Or probably the most useful link is this view all scores. You see a breakdown of all of the scores for all of the activities for all of your students, or you can download an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file or whatever, if you like gathering all that kind of extra data. So the only extra thing that I will show you is if you created multiple groups and you don't want to have to add activities separately to all of them, you can subscribe to your own groups. So what on earth does that mean? So I've got 10A and 10B. At the moment, I've added an activity to 10A. Let's see what's going on here. Here we go. So there we go. We've got activities on 10A. However, there's nothing on 10B because I haven't added anything. I could add them manually, or on 10B, I could subscribe to another group, put the link to the master group, I suppose. So let's get 10A as the main group. That's the group that I want to add activities to. And then 10B, let's come back, where is it? Here we go. Let's subscribe to 10A. Let's pop that in here. This means anything new that I add to 10A is also going to get added to 10B at the same time. Most of you won't find that useful because you're only going to have one group in year 10 and one group in year 11. But if you do have lots and lots of groups, hopefully that will save you some time. All right, if you have any extra questions, do get in touch. But please bear in mind, I'm a full-time teacher with a young family. I don't make any money from this, other than a very small amount of advertising revenue, which covers hosting costs. So please be patient if it takes me a little while to get back in touch. I hope it's helpful. There are other resources out there that offer a much slicker service, but obviously you have to pay for those. This is a free service because I can't promise the level of support that I would like to give if it was a paid service, and it will stay free. I have no intention whatsoever of monetizing this. Okay, I hope this is helpful. I hope it's useful for your students. All the very best. Thank you.